Hey, good morning everybody. Alright, we're going to put the headers on the El Camino today. The headers that came off of my 69 Camaro that I thought were going to fit, that we did the patchwork on, and I went ahead and cleaned them up and coated them with some high temp paint. Tried to fit them in there. They're actually not going to work, so had to wind up going and buying a set. So I bought these. They are some Headman. They're actually tuned headers, 1 3/4 inch. I wanted the 1 3/4 inch. I wasn't too much for the tuned. I mean, they're obviously a very good header, but the tuned is more of a race thing, and this car is not going to be raced. So, but it just turned out that that's pretty much what I had available to me, so that's what I went ahead and purchased. But and they do have the, which I've never used before, they call it a ball and socket joint here. So that'll be interesting. I've always used headers that have just had a flange and they bolt up. So this has got the collector here, which I guess is pretty much the socket part, and I guess this is supposed to be the ball part. So like I said, that'll be interesting. First time for me on that one. So, but like I said, I did try to test fit these guys already, and they're not going to work. But since they are the same diameter tubes as these, what it looks like I'm going to probably have to wind up doing is taking the motor mount off on the passenger side, picking the motor up just a little bit, tilting it, whatever you want to call it, and I should be able to slide them in. The other side looks like it'll go in with no problems. But first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and get these things taken down to metal and put a good high temp paint on them. So let me get that done, and I'll come back with you guys in just a little bit. Alright, so I got these things recoated, got the engine hoist out, and I went ahead and pulled the bolt out of the motor mount. So just going to go ahead and get the car down lower, and like I said, I'll hook up the chain, see if I can tip the motor a little bit, and hopefully it will go in. I did try it, and it looks like the steering shaft here is kind of the issue. So, and I really don't want to have to take that steering shaft out. So what I'm hoping for is, like I said, just pick the motor up just a tad. It doesn't need to go much, and hopefully I can slide it back in there. So let me get this thing hooked up, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so we got the one side on. Picking it up obviously worked. As you can see, it's in there. Did have a few issues, and I'm thinking probably in the future I'm not going to want to change spark plugs on this thing. But the steering rod there, since it's aftermarket, it's going to have to be clearanced. As you can see there, the bolt or the nut stud is actually going to wind up interfering with the header tube. So probably just going to have to get something in there and just clearance it just a tiny little bit. But yeah, it was a little tough getting it in there. But like I said, they're in there. Hopefully they perform good. And like I said, hopefully I don't have to do any work to them too often. The plugs look like a couple of them I can get from up here. The back two are going to have to be from underneath. So, but let me go ahead and start on the other side, and we'll come back and we'll show you the finished product. Alright, there we go. We got that other header in. Went not too bad. I'm not going to say it was easy, because it wasn't, but I guess headers seldom are. So, but the issue really was just this guy here, this dipstick. Just because of where it's mounted, or I decided to mount it on the header bolt there, that made it a little tricky, because it was kind of hard to get the bolt alignment to get that started. Not to mention there's really no room once you do get it started to get a wrench on it or a socket or anything. So that was a little tricky, but it's in there, and like I said, hopefully I'll never have to, or not never, but hopefully I won't have to do too much work on them. So, and I did notice, I mentioned earlier that I was jacking up the passenger side of the car. I'm sure everybody caught that. It was the driver's side of the car that actually I had jacked up to get that other header in on the other side. But anyways, so just got to get some wiring. I got the starter in down there, but I still need to terminate some ends and do stuff like that. So I'll go ahead and get that finished up. But basically that looks like it's done for the header installation. So I'll see you guys on the next video, and thanks for watching.